Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel, and once again thanks to MCOC leak, Photon's abilities have been, well, leaked. We already covered Vox, and when it comes to Vox, pretty much everything depends on his damage and the actual numbers, and pretty much the same is going to be with most of the champions. And obviously we can get a very good idea what Photon is going to be about, and if I need to sum it up, Photon is going to be Science Captain Marvel movie 2.0. Basically, she has her entire set of core mechanics working pretty much exactly as Captain Marvel does, except that she's debuff focused. So, her core is going to be electromagnetic charges. These represent the strength of Photon's connection to the electromagnetic spectrum. Photon gains electromagnetic charges in various ways that persist between fights. Max stacks X, very important, how many? +1 charge when opponent is inflicted with a debuff, or when opponent activates a special attack. Charge plus X charges when the opponent misses, cooldown 3 seconds. So that's fairly straightforward. That is her core mechanic. Always active. When stunned, Photon loses control of her solid form and gains untouchable passive for X seconds. If opponent misses during this effect, it goes on cooldown. Photon's altered body composition grants her immunity to all bleed and power steal effects. Photon can trigger parry mastery against non-contact attacks, which is super useful, and all of her attacks deal energy damage. Whenever the opponent is inflicted with a debuff, Photon inflicts a non-stacking Petrify passive for X seconds. Will be very interesting to see how potent is that Petrify passive. If the opponent has the Willpower Mastery active, it is removed. Kind of makes sense. Additionally, on her basic attacks, medium attacks cannot miss, so I like that a lot. So you can use her as a very solid miss counter already just with this ability. Both champions' first medium attack inflicts a suppression debuff on Photon's opponent. So mediums will put suppression on opponent. Photon's first and third light attacks inflict energy vulnerability, which obviously will increase all the damage that you do. They're likely going to be very short duration effects as well. The first hit on either champion's heavy attack inflicts an unstacking Sunder debuff, which completely removes any critical resistance opponents have. So you have access basically to 3 different types of debuffs on your basic hit. So that is how you're going to be amping up your charges. The cool thing is that you don't really need to do anything. You just go full combos and you're going to be gaining charges relatively quickly. And then if you can force opponent to miss, gain more charges. If you want to ramp up even quicker, put on Resonate Mastery and inflict some weaknesses. And eventually, you're going to be entering your pure light form. Now, it would be cool to know how many charges you need, but Photon is channeling the full force of her power. While at X charges or more, dodging back and holding block for X seconds or being knocked down pushes Photon into her pure light form and grants her the following effects. This happens automatically at max charges or when Photon activates special attack with at least X charges as a defender. It's pretty much the same thing as Captain Marvel movie version here. She has her binary form, Photon has pure light form. Gain an indefinite Fury passive for every 5 charges, each increasing attack by X. This is exactly like CMM. Photon cannot miss in her pure light form, so then she can be mega aggressive in her miss counter scenarios. And personal debuffs expire slower, which means you will be able to stack up more of them. Also, Photon cannot gain electromagnetic charges and each charge lasts X seconds, falling off one at a time. All effects are removed when charges fall to 0. And this is the entire core of her kit and the most important part of it. Because if you guys will remember, Mole Man got released and nobody cared about Mole Man and he sucked. And then Kabam just slightly increased the amount of charges Mole Man gains, slightly increased the duration of those charges, and all of a sudden Mole Man was amazing just with that change. So it will all entirely depend how quickly can Photon enter this pure light form and how long she can remain in this pure light form. It's the same thing with CMM, because if CMM had the Nick Fury synergy in her base kit, I think she'd still be a popular champion. but it's just not long enough, and you cannot maintain it, properly, and nobody really cares about CMM anymore. So hopefully Kabam gets that balance right where, you can enter your pure light form quickly, and then you stay there for a reasonable amount of time. Special attacks. While in pure light form, Photon's special attacks cannot be avoided with the dexterity mastery. That sounds quite scary on defense. Electromagnetic charges pause during opponent's special attacks and for X seconds when Photon punishes the opponent's special attack. So that is going to be kind of like key, similar to how you want to play with Kate Bishop often as well. When you punish opponent's special attacks, you pause the arrow effect. That will likely let you remain in your form significantly longer. So champions where you cannot punish the special attacks will likely be significantly trickier to deal with. Now let's take a look at special attacks. On activation, inflict overload debuff for X seconds. If pure light form is active, inflict additional overload debuff. And in pure light form, the final hit is passively unblockable except against parries. Remember, if pure light form, you cannot dex the special attacks, so you have to parry the final hit. Otherwise, you're going to get hit in the face. So that, is quite scary when you're going to be going up against Photon. If you do not know what overload does, it basically inflicts additional amount of damage as energy damage based on whatever damage you inflicted. So if you hit for 1k and if you have 50% overload debuff, then opponent will receive 500, energy damage directly. So this works as effective damage multiplier, so to speak. And I like it. I think that's quite cool. Special 2, in pure light, the final hit inflicts a taunt debuff. Cool. Depends how long, but it's always nice to have champions with access to taunt. And in pure light form, this attack is passively unblockable. Electromagnetic charges are paused for the duration, and Photon gains 100% untouchable passive for 3 seconds after final hit, which means you can phase through opponent's special attack if they throw it immediately. And it sounds like very cool mechanic that will definitely be satisfying to execute, where you throw your level 2, and then your opponent uses their special attack because they're taunted. In theory, they should pretty much always do that. And then you just phase through that and go and punish their special attack, pause your electromagnetic charges further. And this does sound very cool, I'm not gonna lie. It does sound very, very good. Special 3. Max stacks of electromagnetic charges increases by X amount. This effect can occur X amount of times. If at or above X charges, gain a non-stacking regeneration passive healing, and this passive pauses for X amount of seconds when opponent is struck. So you can potentially get some long-term massive regen here, which again is quite cool. It is on level 3, so that regen will be relatively inaccessible in majority of situations, but it's still good to have. And that is pretty much it. Her signature ability. Photon's improved control over electromagnetic spectrum grants her immunity to all neutralize effects. Now, this I do not like. I don't like cosmic champions that just go like, nah, fuck you. No, like, we don't need... that's not a cosmic, actually. She's science. So that... Okay, never mind. I changed my mind. To me, in my head, Photon is effectively like Captain Marvel, which is a cosmic champion, but I'm quite sure she's a science because her entire kit is based on debuffs. So, yeah, never mind. This I'm okay with. Immune to neutralize as a science champion, I'm okay with it. Scratch that out for a second. For every debuff on the opponent, their block proficiency is reduced by X and Photons is increased by half as much. That's nice, I think. It's primarily still going to be a defensive type of thing. I think just causing opponents take more block damage, but even offensively, it might help you avoid some chip damage, which is fine. And Photon has X chance to inflict one of her personal energy vulnerability debuffs on the opponent when struck by or blocking a light attack. Okay, cool. I don't think this is like very important, to be honest. By the sound of it, unless I'm missing something super important, I don't think the signature ability is very important. Which is good. And that's pretty much it. That is Photon. And I must say that out of both champions, I'm kind of more interested in Photon. I think Vox is way cooler, but a miss counter, bleed immunity, tons of debuffs, access to petrify passive. Sounds quite good. Really does. That whole phasing on level 2, not too bad as well. But obviously it can all fall apart in seconds if the numbers do not support it. So it's impossible to tell which champion's actually going to be better. But yeah, I'm definitely interested in her as a character. I do like several things. I can already imagine how that level 2 is going to work. When you drop a level 2, you're basically phasing and an opponent's taunted, they throw a special attack. You force them to miss all of that. And yeah. Punish the special, pause your charges, do good damage, be super aggressive. Sounds very interesting. But let me know what you guys think. There are synergies as well. There are some cool synergies, I'm not gonna lie. I think, with Kamal Khan, given her chance to refresh Furies, I think that's quite good. And then with Mr. Negative, allowing Mr. Negative to inflict slow, I think that's quite cool. Also, Bloodstone also inflicts slow that can let her bypass miss on her evades too. So there are some interesting synergies as well, but I don't think synergies are like super important in the game anymore, to be honest. But at her base kit, I'm definitely kind of optimistic, as long as Kabam gets the balance right. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about Photon's ability leak. And again, yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys later today. Bye. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about